The Trump administration now declaring it is suspending all financial aid to El Salvador, to Guatemala, and to Honduras after those countries have really shown that they have totally failed to stop the flow of migrants, and it will be suspended until they can actually show some kind of turnaround in their behavior. In other words, we need to see that they are actually making some attempt to keep their people from leaving and coming straight here. You know, as recently as Saturday, Mexican officials arrested 800 Central Americans. They were all heading north to the U.S. Here with me right now to react to all of it, Tennessee Congressman and House Homeland Security Committee member, Republican Mark Green. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, Trish. Good to see you as well. Thanks again for having me on.
So, again, the power of the almighty dollar, the power of the U.S. economy coming into play here. We saw the tariffs on Mexico. That's kind of having an effect, as you saw in William Lejeunesse' report. And now we're looking at suspending all the aid to Honduras and Guatemala and these countries that, for whatever reason, seem quite keen, actually, and supportive of people coming to the U.S. Is it going to work?
Yeah, I think it'll work. I mean, look at how the tariffs worked with Mexico. I mean, we heard today that 900 additional National Guardsmen are going to their southern border with Guatemala. When you put teeth in a deal, you get a response. And I think the taking of the foreign aid is just another incentive to those leaders. It's teeth in a deal, and they'll be able to hopefully, do what they need to do, enforce their own laws and stop the flow of the migrants.
But, that said, right, I mean, it's a free world. If you want to just leave Guatemala and try and go somewhere else, it's not like the government can stop you. But, Congressman, couldn't the government do something to help incentivize people to actually want to be there in the first place, like try and get its own economic house in order?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the whole point of why people are leaving is the problem with the rule of law. You know, they have corruption in their government, and the rule of law is not enforced, and so people want to leave. And it's an issue of businesses not wanting to go into that. Mm-hmm. You know, the crime is actually down in Guatemala, but people don't want to locate businesses there because of the rule of law and things like that. So when the leadership gets with the program and starts enforcing its own laws, then businesses will be recruited to those areas, and you'll see jobs created. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what's got to happen in the whole Northern Triangle, not just Guatemala, but El Salvador, all three countries. And so hopefully this will get their leadership's attention.
Handouts. Like, here you go, millions of dollars from the U.S., do what you want with it. And then the fear is if you have that much corruption, right, in the system, the money's not going to the right places. It's not actually getting to the people who need it. Maybe this is putting the pressure on the governments to say, okay, we need to do a better job internally. A hard thing to do, but, at least show some goodwill, right? Help us to help you.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've got to do their job. I mean, and the corruption has to be stomped out. There's several reports recently that show significant corruption and where that aid is really being, used. Is it really getting down to the people? And a lot of concern about that. So this is an opportunity to incentivize them to do what they're supposed to do with foreign aid and enforce the rule of law.
You're also on the Committee for Homeland Security. It seems like this is kind of a Homeland Security issue as well. I mean, we don't know who's in our own, we don't know who's here, we don't know who's in our country, we don't know who's coming up. This is a security issue, as much as people maybe want to say it's not, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If we're talking rule of law, we need to enforce our own rule of law at the border. And the liberal Democrats don't seem interested in doing that. They're more concerned about keeping themselves in power than they are actually working for people. You look at the women that are being assaulted as they make this trek from Guatemala into our border, the humanitarian crisis that it is.
Well, I wish they'd wake up. I wish the Democrats would just for once put the politics aside. And I'd say this, by the way, if the Republicans were doing the same thing. I absolutely would, because I'm just disgusted with the partisanship. And keep working at it, and the president will keep working at it. I guess these times call for some creativity, and we've certainly seen that. Anyway, Congressman Green, it's good to have you back. Thank you.
Thanks, Trish. Have a good day.
Tonight, Sean